What's up, all you beautiful bald people? I am Hair Loss Harry, here with the beautiful Nicole.
Hey guys.
And we're Scalp Logic. And today we want to talk about, what, Nicole?
Does size really matter?
Care for all you guys out there. We're talking about S&P, right?
Yes.
And that's all we're talking about right now on this
Yes.
channel. So does size matter?
Yes.
It does.
Yes.
Of course it does.
Now we're talking about the size of the impressions, guys. We have so many people that watch our videos and even come and get the service done, but they truly don't understand what we mean. So we thought we would break it down completely, the size of the impressions and how much they actually matter.
So for me, this is a black and white issue. You know, we're doing fine detail precision tattooing. We should be able to show our work up close, and the consumer should be able to differentiate, are these impressions the size of real hair or not? It's a yes or a no, black and white. There's no, marketing fluff, all this kind of stuff. So let's really break it down.
So on my aspect, I see it as simple as this. Guys will say, hey, I just want to get this hair loss covered. I don't care how, I want to get it covered as quick as possible. And what we're saying is we want you to think beyond that. We want you to think of how much each single one of those impressions is going to determine what it's going to look like in the future. And it's going to be with you for the majority of your life. So not thinking so small and really thinking grand picture like.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, we're going to break down, the fact that we're placing ink superficially into a live organism.
Exactly.
And we'll explain this in detail, I think, over some photos or the whiteboard.
Yes. And what the skin really does and how it retains it and how it's different to each person. That's a really big thing.
That's it. Well, let's get into it. Let's go ahead.
Okay, so we have two examples here. We're going to start off with this example first. This is going to be, obviously it's magnified for your guys' purposes at home to be able to see it. So this would be a 3 needle. Now, I know these impressions are really big, but I want you to think about this. This approach is, let's get the hair loss covered as quick as possible. This would be 1 to 2 sessions, sometimes even 3 sessions. So obviously these are going to stick right away. You're going to have the results right away, right? But look at how big these impressions are. Do you know what these impressions are going to heal like over time? Do you know that these impressions might end up migrating into one another? These impressions are not going to stand the test of time. And this is why we're doing this video. Now, I want you to come over here and I want you to look at those tiny impressions over there. So this is going to be with the single needle. I know what those impressions are going to heal like over time. I know that these impressions are not going to migrate. These impressions are sitting superficially at the top layer of the skin. You might need a touch up, just being very, very frank with you, but I know what those are going to heal like. I do not know what these are going to heal like.
Okay, so again, taking a look at this whiteboard here, what we have is what we're going to call S&P. And really what the point I want to get across is that they're using a 3-round liner, meaning there's 3 pins to make 1 impression, okay? This is what 95%, if not more, people use in our entire industry. And then over here we have this represents a single needle, a 1-round liner is what we typically use. And for intents and purposes, let's pretend these circles both represent 1 square inch on someone's head and we're just magnified in there. First glance, I would measure about 1 to 300 of these impressions you can fit in 1 square inch, right? With a 3-round liner. Whereas if you're looking at the same square inch, we can fit around 700 to 900 clean, right? Without overlapping in that same square inch. Now those numbers are a little bit of a guess, but I'm very confident those are accurate in real time. So think about that. That's like 3 times the amount. You could fit so many more impressions in 1 square inch than you could with the 3-round liner.
So this is great in the sense that it's going to fill the area quickly, right? You'll need less sessions. It's very kind of like quick, fast, get in, get done with it, right? But we don't know what this is going to heal like long-term. You don't know what this is going to heal like long-term. And if we did these green lines so that you could see that a lot of these impressions, because they're so big over time and given the person's skin, can actually start migrating into one another. So what will that look like, Joe? It'll be like almost kind of like just like this very inky, dark, almost muddled look.
Yeah, exactly. A couple of takeaways from the 3-round liner, right? As an artist, and that's what I want to explain for consumers to understand, you have to go deeper to get these impressions, right? All we're doing is inserting a needle into the skin. We're making a hole. Simultaneously, as we're making a hole, ink is dropping off of that needle and falling into that well, that hole that we just created, right? So to get a needle, or I'm sorry, an impression from the 3 needle, it's got to go a little bit deeper actually than the single needle. And so what that means to you as someone who doesn't want to have the inky impression, the inky result, inky appearance, that's what you're going to get. It's very hard to stay away from an inky, tattooey look with the 3 needle. And again, this is why we say the spotlight challenge, show up close.
Yes.
This takes so much longer. As you can, I mean, just with a marker, it's going to take a lot longer to do those impressions.
Yeah.
The truth is, when we're working in live skin, a live organism, you know, as I always say, we do the dance with the skin. When the skin doesn't want to dance with these impressions, it is like someone said, patience of a dead man, and I think that's very accurate.
That is so it.
I mean, go ahead. What else can we say?
It takes so much longer, and it's just more time-consuming in general, and more variables that we have to work with doing this way. But we know, and we are so confident because we know what this is going to heal like. And I do want to highlight, I'm not saying for every single person that does a 3 needle, they're botching people. I want to make sure we highlight that because it's also required the depth that you're going, right? That also very much matters. How deep are you going? But again, we know long-term what this is going to look like, and we're going to stand by this result.
All right, now let's say this is real hair. How big do you think those dots are? Do you think real hair is going to have an impression that size? The real hair is going to look like an impression? It's going to look more like that.
Exactly.
Maybe even thinner than those dots, right? I mean, that's real hair.
Yeah.
So again, forget everything we're saying other than the fact that the objective is to look like a real head of shaven hair.
Yes.
How are these impressions going to look real?
Yes.
And again, I don't know if we mentioned it, but it's worth repeating. If it looks this big, fresh, meaning the day of, which is what you're seeing on the internet, especially on Instagram, it's only going to expand and get a little bit bigger through time. It's not going to magically shrink up and go away and look like one of those. So once it's that size, it's only that size or larger. Act accordingly.
This is just a logical concept. Like if you just think about it, like let's simplify it as much as possible. These are only going to get bigger, exactly what Joe just said. So why wouldn't you want something smaller, more crisp, something that you know is going to look good and still be small years to come?
I love it. Let's show them some examples on real skin now. Let's show them some pictures, yeah? All right, guys, so check it out. We have a couple pictures we want to just discuss a little bit. So the first one we're doing this is actually a picture of myself. We did this about last year.
Yes.
And obviously I grew my hair out. And as you can see, side note how it just the real hair overwhelms the SNP, right? It doesn't look clean and like a bold look until you shave all that hair down. But look at the impressions, and of course Nicole wants me to mention where you see a little bit of splotchiness is remnants of
the previous ink.
The previous ink of years ago when I had my SNP.
Not my work.
So all those little crisp and again healed impressions. That's the topic we're talking about.
Yes.
If the impressions aren't healed, and we have a couple pictures to showcase what it is that I'm saying.
Absolutely.
I don't care about fresh results, immediate results. They're lying to us. They're not telling the truth. These pictures are telling us the truth, right?
Yeah.
Those little impressions, and it's perfect because we have some grown out, real hair, native hair,
So
and you can see for yourself how big are those impressions in size to the circumference of a real hair follicle.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything you want to mention on that picture, Nicole?
No, I think that's a perfect example. And even one thing actually I do is if when you see, do you guys see the impressions actually going into the native hair? I want you guys to take note of that just because the impressions need to actually blend as well with your native hair. That's very important when it comes to any type of work and just identifying that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, cool. We got a few photos here, so let's keep it grooving. All right, this is I just want to show like the magnifier. Yes. Okay, so right here we have the before picture you can see in the top right or the top corner, right? And then the healed result. This is a good couple of months, I think, after we saw this gentleman's last. So he was coming for his 4th or 5th session, just to be clear. Yeah. We took this picture before we started his last session.
Yeah. This was a good 4 to 5 months healed.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, this is exactly where we were at. Yeah.
And the reason why that's so important is if it's only 2 or 3 weeks, still it's not the full truth.
Exactly.
A good month or two, then we're seeing the healed results.
Yes, we are.
No controversy, nothing else going on. It is what it is.
He's already in his lifestyle, doing his regular things. That's what it's gonna look like.
That's right. That's right. And here's something that you should be able to do on every single photo. And as a consumer, if you can't do this on a healed photo of an artist you're choosing, I'd say run, walk away. You have no business because Again, this is the truth.
Yes.
So what I did was I dropped a magnifier. I have an iPhone. You take a screenshot, and one of the options is you could put a magnifying glass, right? So we're looking up close. So take a look, and you should be able to do that, just kind of zoom in on all your pictures.
Agreed.
But I really wanted to emphasize, and especially to Nicole's point, you can see it's where the treatment meets his hair.
So important.
Yeah. So that's really, that really exposes the skill level of an artist.
Yes.
That transition, can you see ink and then hair? Does it look uniform?
Yep.
And that's what's so hard to do as an artist,
Yes, it
isn't
is.
it?
Yes, it is. Especially because everybody has a different, almost like their hair. Some people's hair is very, very coarse. Some people's hair is very, very thin. So artistry right there, that's where it's got to step up.
That's it. Okay, cool. This is a great picture. This is obviously an extreme example, but the truth is, I call it an extreme, but this is what we see.
We just had 4 clients in the past week.
4 guys
Yes.
last week. 4 of them, I think 3 of them did laser.
3 of them did laser.
And 1 of them after 1 session, and we're talking about the biggest, competitor in the world, right?
Yeah.
Who did it? We're talking about not new people doing these.
Yeah.
These are people who are doing 4 guys in a day.
Yeah. Which is insane. Anybody's doing 4 people in a day, that's another, please run. That's just not even, you're just not even respecting this.
There's no respect for the art.
Respect.
That's a money grab. That's all that
There's no
is.
respect for the client. I'm sorry, but that's insane. Joe and I both work on 1 client a day, and we give each and every client our all, and we make sure that we're fresh enough to be able to do everything that's required to give you amazing results.
That's right. I did do a zoomed in there. Okay, cool. So I think this is pretty self-explanatory.
Yes.
And again, what I want to show you guys there is up close. What do those impressions look like? You can really see the difference of someone else's work versus our work.
Yes.
And I just took a little screen grab of the bottom right corner there. And again, zooming in. And again, this is a black and white issue, as I said. Do those impressions healed look like a similar size to a hair follicle? It's a yes or a no question. And I think we're coming closer than anyone else out there. So
Absolutely. And this is a very hard case really quick because there was no laser done on this. So this all comes down to blending, removal of the previous work, and really, really just blend.
That's right. Yeah, we have a very similar client right now, a client that looks very similar in this situation, in this fashion. I can't wait to show you guys coming soon.
Are worse than these, to be very, very
wow,
honest.
that's a bold statement.
Yes.
And this is the biggest provider in the world, right?
Well, all I'm trying to highlight is just the impressions matter. That's it. Sorry.
And what I'm trying to say by making that kind of comment, it's from the biggest. What I'm saying is, I'm not trying to knock anybody down. I'm trying to arm the consumer with the right information.
I love that.
I don't care what the company it is. I don't care what the artist is. If they just started last month, 10 years.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't make a difference. The proof is in the pudding. You can see by the pictures.
Agreed.
Are they who you want to go to? And I want you to make that decision.
Agreed.
Okay, cool. So there's the before picture. I love this guy, by the way. Awesome guy. Side note, awesome gentleman right there. So again, you can see the before, as bald as we can go, Norwood 7, and then the impressions healed. Now, again, he was coming for his 4th or 5th session.
This
so we
is
took
his 4th session is what he's coming in.
So then we did 3 completed sessions,
Yes.
and it was about, 1 to 2 months?
This was exactly 2.5 months after
2.5
we
months.
worked on him. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So over 60 days.
He took this picture himself, and we were able to zoom in. And as artists, we're looking at this and saying, okay, it still needs more blending, it still needs more work, but we still want you to just see the impressions.
That's right. And I just took another screen grab because you should be able to do it on any region of the head and see, what that looks like up close. I do want to make a mention. This is an awesome gentleman in a lot of ways. His canvas is ideal.
Yeah.
Right? If you're, let's say, Caucasian with brittle skin and sunspots, I don't care how good the artist is, you're not going to get that result.
Yes.
So his skin is just graded whole. As you can see, the impression stood crisp. We get that question a lot. That's what every consumer wants to know. What are those impressions going to look like healed? There's so many layers to answer, so many variables
Which
involved.
is why we work so hard with the skin to get it right before you even come see us. Even if you're that guy that's got that brittle skin, let's address that before you come.
Right. And now what controls good skin, right? It's your health, your diet, your genetics, your lifestyle.
Yes.
Are you outside in the sun every day?
Exactly.
Are you
protecting your skin?
There's so many variables, and that's where our insight, I think, no one else is considering even.
They don't even think about it. Like, the skin is not even something that's addressed, which is like monkey business to me. I mean, that's what you're working on. You're working on skin. Why would you not care how the client's
It's pretty
skin
disappointing.
is?
No one else talks about the skin.
No,
it's pretty disappointing.
It's baffling.
It's coming though. It's
Anybody
coming.
that's worked with us knows I want to know what your skin looks like before. I want
Yeah.
to fix your skin. I want to
Yeah.
know what your skin looks like 2 days after the treatment, how
Yeah.
it's healing. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why our treatment's so
We want to
different.
optimize your skin before the treatment, during, and of course after.
Yes, and long term.
And that's going to dictate how your results look, really,
Exactly.
in so many ways.
Yes.
All right, cool. So here's a great example of, now this is red and irritated.
Yes,
I pulled
it
this
is
off of our
fresh.
own Instagram. This man had a hair transplant, which is important to note.
Yes.
Everybody knows in the back of the head it's going to leave a scar and scar tissue, but where you transplanted the hair as well is also scar tissue. So again, we're injecting skin into a live organism.
We're using ink.
And what scar tissue is just skin on top of skin on top of skin with no blood flow.
Yeah.
So not an ideal canvas to the
No,
point
it's
we
not.
just made, right?
Yeah.
So here's a great result. I think a pretty good result.
Yes.
And red and irritated, here's what it looks like healed. And forgive me, it's the opposite direction, but did we do a zoom in on that one? We
Yes,
did.
it is.
Yeah, perfect. So check it out. Up close, you still see those beautiful, sexy little dots, but it looks way different, doesn't it, than that fresh red irritated. It is what it is, but this is what everyone's getting sold on Instagram.
That's it.
And then this is the reality.
But I want to highlight something.
Please.
A lot of artists and a lot of people worldwide, because of the scar tissue, go deeper. Use a bigger needle because it's the easier option.
Right,
It
the instant
really
option.
Is. It's the instant
It's true.
option where the client's going to be really happy and they're going to be like, "Oh my gosh, I love my treatment."
It's a fantastic
Not
point.
knowing that it's not going to look like that long term. So even with scar tissue, hair transplants, anything like that, you want to more than anything take the subtle P approach, really.
Yeah. Well, again, I want the consumer to make their choice.
Yes.
Right? If you're not going to scrutinize, but the truth is, when you get this done, I think it's like this. Do you want to brag about the results? And I think we had a little conversation with our friend Prince about that.
Yeah.
Do you want to brag about the results if someone mentions it, or if someone's like, "Oh, hair tattoo or hair," you have a mediocre result and you know it, and you just want to run in that situation.
Yeah.
This
Or
is the
even
difference.
better, where you decide if you even want to tell somebody that it's that undetectable,
Yeah.
and nobody knows you've had it done.
That's it.
That's what I
it.
want to hear. That's
Yeah.
what I want people to be saying.
That's it. Let's see what else we got. Speaking of Prince,
That was like, did you time that? That was too perfect.
there he goes. So one of our favorite results, one of our
Yes.
favorite guys.
Yes.
Again, lost as much hair as you could lose.
Yes.
Norwood 7. And then look up close. Did I take 2 screen grabs? Not just the one of that. But again, looking up close, and again, you got to ask yourself, are those impressions the size of real hair?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
And that's 2 years healed, so that's very insightful for you guys to be seeing that.
And by the way, all of these results are single needle use
Yes.
only.
Yes.
Okay, here's a great one. Immediate result again, the redness, irritation, and I know this looks a little, not so perfect as an artist, but this is just after 1 session and 1 month after.
Yep.
Okay, so look up close, and on a little coarser the hair is going to be, so the impressions need to be a little bit bigger. But again, always, can you zoom in and see that those impressions are the exact size of a hair follicle? Yes or no?
Exactly.
I don't know if I did 2 of those. Okay, cool. And then the last one, finally, this is 2 different guys. One guy right here, another guy right there. So they're before pictures. Their immediate result on
Which
one
are
of the
red and
sessions.
irritated.
And then, I know the quality, the clarity is not the greatest, but, guys are taking their own pictures. Much appreciated. But
Yeah.
look at the difference. This looks like, it's like we're playing baseball by showing these pictures, and other people are playing hockey or basketball, a completely different sport. It's not even close to the same. So that's what we really just want to arm the consumers out there.
Exactly.
Those red, irritated pictures, and there's even serums and stuff you can put on to take
Yes,
away the
there is.
redness. So be cautious of that. But what I want to emphasize is what those impressions look like on skin fresh
Yes.
versus healed, night and day difference.
I really want to highlight really quick
Yeah.
is, I'm not even joking. In the past 2 weeks, we have gotten, I can't even tell you how many calls on botched jobs from all over the United States. And we make these videos not to say, "Hey guys, choose us, come, call us." That's not what it is. It's, we care enough to, whether you come with us or not, that I'm not getting that phone call where guys are like, "Hey, you know what? I just broke up with my girlfriend because I couldn't even tell her the truth of what's going on to me and the laser process that I'm gonna have to go through." I don't want guys to be going through that. So this is why we make these videos.
Yeah, completely agree. And I'll add to that. It's you know, obviously if people are reaching out to us, they're not confident, they're not comfortable being, you know, going through hair loss, being bald, right? So to go backwards, in my opinion, it's
and
just,
that's what it is.
it's insanity.
It's like it's hard enough trying to like hide the hair loss, but then when you're having to hide the laser and going through that process, and that's a long process depending on how many sessions you need to actually remove. We're not saying this to scare you, we're saying this to arm you with the truth so that you can make a really good educated decision based on you and what you want.
I love it. All right, guys, there it is. So if you made it this far, please consider subscribing and commenting. Please, we love hearing from you. Good or bad feedback. We want to know your thoughts.
Yes.
You know, what do you think about this video? What do you think about these impressions? And what are you seeing all over YouTube, Instagram? We really want to hear from you.
Thanks, guys.